Right now on Good Morning America First Look, two planes collide on the ground at a busy New York airport. The impact nearly tearing off one of the wings. We hear from a passenger.
The White House threatening mass government layoffs and funding cuts for blue states as the government shutdown drags on. What Republicans are now saying about Democrats' demands to stop healthcare premiums from going up.
A development in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, a top official in the Trump administration coming forward with candid comments, describing Epstein as the greatest blackmailer ever. What he says he saw on a personal tour of Epstein's home.
The shocking moment the side of this 20-story New York City building collapses. The explosion that came before and what building inspections reveal.
Plus, the man who survived a terrifying shark attack, his head inside the shark's mouth.
A new warning from doctors about ramen noodles.
Later, a thriller in the Red Sox-Yankees wildcard series.
And paying more, a lot more, from a 50% price increase for Xbox players to a treadmill that costs more than $6,000. What you're getting for the extra money.
From ABC News, this is Good Morning America First Look.
Good Thursday morning, everyone. I'm Victor Oquendo.
Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Morgan Norwood. We'll, of course, have the latest on the government shutdown in just a moment. But first, a collision at New York's busy LaGuardia Airport.
Two jets colliding on the ground, the impact nearly tearing off one of the wings. Overnight, two Delta planes colliding at New York's LaGuardia Airport, leaving at least one person injured and causing extensive damage.
And you're like, oh my God, we're just in a plane crash.
A flight taxiing for departure to Roanoke, Virginia, crashing into the fuselage of a plane arriving from Charlotte. The planes carrying a combined 93 people.
Yeah, we did. Their right wing clipped our nose in the cockpit. We have damage to our windscreen and some of our screens in here.
The collision damaging the nose and windshield of one plane, but on the other, a wing was almost entirely torn off.
Endeavor 5135, we have one injury on board.
One flight attendant on the departing flight was taken to the hospital, the injuries described as non-life threatening.
We appreciate your patience.
Passengers forced to get off the plane on the tarmac, then boarding a bus. William Lusk was among them.
We were taking a right off of the main runway, and all of a sudden you feel the brakes go on, and you see this object coming across the left side of the plane. You feel the front of the plane just kind of get dragged to the right, and you can physically feel like in your seat, you moving to the right.
The airline saying Delta will work with all relevant authorities to review what occurred as safety of our customers and people comes before all else. We've seen similar incidents this year at airports in Seattle, San Francisco, and Washington, D.C.
We have new details this morning about a partial building collapse in New York. The dramatic moment caught on camera. Now, authorities saying it's a miracle no one was injured because it happened as people were leaving for work and school. About 140 people have been displaced, and officials believe the explosion in the boiler caused the chimney structure to collapse. Records show a defect was found in that boiler just this past June, but a permit to fix it was only issued last month.
Now to day two of the U.S. government shutdown. Today could bring mass layoffs as Republicans pressure Democrats for a spending deal. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has details. Nicole, good morning.
Victor, good morning. The White House is threatening pink slips in addition to furloughs, while also freezing billions in funding for blue states as the government shutdown drags on.
With no end in sight to the government shutdown, the Trump administration is warning it could begin firing federal workers as soon as today. Senator Ted Cruz welcomes the idea of using the shutdown to downsize the federal bureaucracy.
President Trump is going to use that as an opportunity not to tell people you're furloughed for a few days, but instead to send pink slips and to get rid of left-wing bureaucrats who are imposing left-wing priorities that are contrary to President Trump's priorities. I think that is fantastic, and what it's going to do is it's going to cause Democrats in Congress to scream and weep and gnash their teeth.
The shutdown could leave more than 750,000 federal employees furloughed and more than 2 million military service members without a paycheck. Heather Campbell, a military wife and mother of 3, says many families could struggle to put food on the table.
all of that together creates a really difficult economic pattern for military families. And it's one where we see 24 to 41% of our families are struggling to put food on the table.
Vice President J.D. Vance was pressed on why layoffs are necessary, given that previous administrations only furloughed workers, a temporary move.
What we're saying is that we might have to take extraordinary steps, especially the longer this goes on.
The White House is also targeting Democratic states with a wave of cuts to federal projects. The cuts will impact 16 states, including $18 billion for infrastructure projects in New York and nearly $8 billion for energy programs. At the core of the government shutdown fight is a demand from Democrats who refuse to support a spending bill unless it includes a reversal of cuts to Medicaid and an extension of Obamacare subsidies to prevent millions of Americans' health care premiums from going up.
It is not radical to say we want to prevent the average American family from getting these huge increases.
Vice President Vance says the administration is open to negotiating health care premiums, but only after the government reopens.
You can't reward this exercise in hostage taking, which is what we would be doing if we allowed the government opening to be conditional on the Democrats' policy disagreements.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune says Democrats are getting cold feet.
I think there are a lot of rank and file Democrats, Sean, who are regretting letting Schumer walk them down into this rat hole.
The economic impact of the shutdown also a concern. New data shows the economy lost a worse than expected 32,000 jobs in the private sector last month.
And more Americans are seeing signs of the shutdown, with some parks and monuments closed. And online, some federal websites now have a banner blaming the, quote, radical left for the shutdown. Critics say that could violate certain laws that ban political activity within federal agencies. Morgan.
Questions about whether that could violate the Hatch Act. Thank you, Nicole. Well, the Pentagon is reportedly planning to give random polygraph tests to thousands of personnel. According to the Washington Post, it's an attempt to prevent leaks to the media. The Post says military service members and civilian employees could be required to sign non-disclosure agreements or face possible dismissal.
Hurricane Imelda roaring past Bermuda overnight with winds around 100 miles per hour. Rough seas churning around the island as the storm approached. Flooding is expected with up to 4 inches of rain. Power outages also reported. Imelda's powerful waves are blamed for bringing down a 6th house on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It fell hours after 5 others collapsed on Tuesday. At least 18 homes in that area have fallen into the ocean in recent years.
We turn now to the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, and a top official from the Trump administration with some candid comments, now describing Epstein as, quote, the greatest blackmailer ever.
This morning, President Trump's Commerce Secretary is speaking out about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Howard Lutnick, who once lived next door to Epstein, telling a New York Post podcast Epstein once gave him a tour of his home.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Lutnick says he broke ties with Epstein after that encounter. He says he believes Epstein got a favorable deal back in 2008 when Epstein pleaded guilty to 2 state prostitution charges, granting him and any potential co-conspirators immunity from federal prosecution. Lutnick then making this claim.
And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Suggesting without evidence that Epstein may have traded compromising videos of high-profile associates in exchange for leniency. Epstein ended up serving only 13 months in a county jail with work release privileges. The Justice Department and FBI have said there's no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, but House Democrats now want to speak with Lutnick.
We're very interested in understanding what exactly he knows, where those theories come from, and anyone, particularly if you're in the Trump administration and you are saying those comments so freely, you have to have additional information.
And meanwhile, the push in Congress to release more of the Epstein files has been delayed by the government shutdown.
Israeli ships have intercepted a flotilla carrying humanitarian aid for Gaza. Organizers say the Israeli Navy stopped at least 19 of their boats. Activist Greta Thunberg was among those detained. Israel says it warned the boats they were approaching a combat zone. Several countries have condemned Israel's move.
There's a new achievement for Elon Musk. He's now worth $500 billion. He's the first person to reach that milestone, his net worth skyrocketing thanks in part to Tesla stock. He's now on track to become the world's first trillionaire by 2033.
And it's time now for your Thursday weather.
Good morning, everyone. Early October acting more like summer over the middle of the country. Kansas City getting up to near 90 today. How about upper 90s Austin? Some showers moving into the northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. Meanwhile, high surf along the East Coast from offshore Hurricane Imelda moving farther offshore. And we're waking up to cold conditions in the interior Northeast. We have some frost advisories and even freeze warnings from Elmira all the way up to Rutland. Meteorologist Jeff Smith, ABC News.
Well, coming up, the new warning from doctors about ramen noodles.
Also ahead, the Pope gets political. What he's saying about how the U.S. is treating immigrants and the response from the White House.
Plus, how a double murder suspect was released from prison by accident. Back now with K-pop Demon Hunters, the most watched movie in the history of Netflix. The characters you see there slurping down ramen. It's now the inspiration for an instant noodle challenge on social media that has doctors warning this morning about the danger of burn injuries. They say kids are burning themselves while trying to slurp the noodles right after they come out of the microwave. Ramen can hit 200 degrees after cooking for 3 minutes.
Now to Pope Leo, the first American pope, making rare comments about American politics. The pontiff appears to be taking on the White House on several hot-button issues. This morning, Pope Leo and the White House engaging in a thinly veiled battle over what it means to be pro-life. Leo, in rare political comments, bringing up the issues of abortion and the death penalty.
Someone who says I'm against abortion but says I'm in favor of the death penalty is not really pro-life.
The Pope made the comments after he was asked about a Chicago Cardinal awarding Illinois Senator Dick Durbin a Lifetime Achievement Award, even though Durbin is a defender of abortion rights, something the church opposes. In defending the award, Pope Leo urged Catholics not to judge political figures on a single issue. In making his point, he then took aim at U.S. immigration policy.
Someone who says that I'm against abortion, but I'm in agreement with the inhuman treatment of immigrants who are in the United States, I don't know if that's pro-life.
The Pope not mentioning President Trump or the administration by name, but White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responded, saying this.
This administration is trying to enforce our nation's laws in the most humane way possible.
Earlier this year, the Trump administration sparred with Leo's predecessor, Pope Francis, after Francis sent a letter to American bishops saying the act of deporting people damages the dignity of many men and women and of entire families. Borders Czar Tom Homan responding.
He's got a wall around the Vatican, does he not? So he's got a wall around to protect his people and himself, but we can't have a wall around the United States.
Pope Leo also addressing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's speech this week to U.S. military commanders. The Pope saying this way of speaking is worrying because it shows each time an increase in tensions. This vocabulary even shifting from Minister of Defense to Minister of War. Let's hope it is only a way of speaking. And as for that award to Senator Durbin, he turned it down after other cardinals opposed it.
A double murder suspect who was mistakenly released from a Florida prison is back in custody after 4 days on the run. James Daniels was captured in Reynolds, Georgia, authorities blaming his accidental release on a procedural error.
Coming up, concerns about an asteroid crashing into the moon.
Also ahead, the man who survived a terrifying shark attack, his head inside the shark's mouth.
A wild chimpanzee mother came up to me and allowed her infant to reach out with that wondering expression in his eyes to touch me. And that's another moment I'll never forget.
People around the world are paying tribute to Dr. Jane Goodall. She began studying chimpanzees in Africa at just 26 years old, living with them, discovering how similar they are to humans. She was first to document chimps making tools to secure food. She was also devoted to spreading peace and gave this advice during a documentary.
If you think globally, you become filled with gloom. But if you take a little piece of this whole picture, my piece, our piece, this is what I can do here. I'm making a difference. And hi, wow, they're making a difference over there. And so are they, and so are they. And so gradually the pieces get filled in. And the world is a better place because of you.
Jane Goodall was 91. Much more on her life and legacy later on Good Morning America.
A well-known marine biologist is alive after escaping the jaws of a 13-foot shark that clamped down on his head, but he refuses to blame the animal. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
This morning, a renowned marine biologist is recovering after he says he was attacked by a shark during an expedition off Costa Rica.
Él mismo tiene lesiones a nivel de cabeza.
He has injuries to his head and face, a member of the local fire department said. Dr. Mauricio Hoyos was leading a team tagging sharks off Cocos Island for research when he tried to tag a type of reef shark. And when the shark turned, Hoyos says its mouth was wide open. From his hospital bed, he said, "My whole head was inside of her mouth in less than a second. Blood then filled his mask, and he says as soon as she felt my skull, she released me. She opened and swam away." Rescue crews treated Hoyos on the island, then rushed him to a hospital 300 miles away.
Como biólogo marino se encontraba.
The shark was 13 feet long, he says. It turned around and bit him on the head. Hoyos previously posted videos of the shark tagging process and has spoken about how sharks, mainly great whites, are often misunderstood, especially because of the movie Jaws.
Because in most of the cases, they do not fit on the human. Unfortunately, since everybody saw this movie, they relate sharks with these serial killers. And this was really bad for sharks because everybody thought that sharks were not good for the planet.
Hoyos needed stitches to close more than 24 puncture wounds, and he'll need jaw surgery. But he's not blaming the shark, saying she was scared too. Morgan, Victor.
Andrea, thank you. Scientists say there is a 4% chance an asteroid could crash into the moon. The impact could happen in 2032. Scientists say one option is using a nuclear explosion to blow the asteroid up. Another is to nudge it off track. Sounds easier said than done. More research is needed.
All right, well, coming up, working out in style, the new treadmill that's nearly $7,000.
Plus, the $1 million winner on Wheel of Fortune and the secret she kept.
Back now, and time to check the pulse, and we begin with some late drama in the baseball playoffs.
The Yankees and Red Sox set for a series-deciding showdown today. All because the Yankees avoided elimination last night in a thrilling game, scoring the winning run with a head-first slide into home in the 8th inning.
The Dodgers were the only team to sweep their wild card series. The others will be decided today. Well, next, the biggest Wheel of Fortune winner ever knows how to keep a secret, Victor.
Christina Derivajanovic took home more than $1 million in cash and prizes. Here's the winning puzzle.
You'll have 10 seconds to try and solve it. Christina's staring at me. Good luck.
Pack of coyotes.
Now here's the big secret. Christina had to wait 4 months to tell her boyfriend about this record-breaking win. It's because she was sworn to secrecy until the show aired.
Wow. Congratulations, Christina. Yep. Next, the legal battle over Nirvana's album Nevermind is finally over.
A man's lawsuit claimed he was a victim of child pornography after being photographed naked in a pool as an infant for the album cover. He wanted millions in damages, but a judge has dismissed the suit. Next, Peloton rolling out a new generation of products.
Yeah, the latest workout equipment doesn't come cheap either. The new treadmill costs nearly $6,700, and this one is packed with AI features, including a coaching system that gives real-time feedback. Well, some Xbox fans say they are fed up.
Microsoft has announced a 50% increase on certain Game Pass subscriptions. So many gamers have been canceling their subscriptions, they have crashed the website. The higher price gets you access to hundreds of games. And finally, there's fun in getting lost.
Well, that's what the man who designed this corn maze says. He dedicated the 40-acre maze in Northern California this year to American farmers. Usually takes about 45 minutes to complete. Top headlines next. Back now and checking more top stories. It's day 2 of the U.S. government shutdown. No deal is expected today because lawmakers are off for the Yom Kippur holiday. The White House is threatening not just furloughs, but mass layoffs of government workers.
President Trump has signed an order creating a national security guarantee with Qatar, saying any attack on Qatar will be considered a threat to the U.S. It comes after Israel targeted Hamas leaders there.
Rescuers in the Philippines are searching for survivors of Tuesday night's 6.9 magnitude earthquake. The death toll is nearly 100 and expected to climb. The powerful quake bringing down the historic bell tower of a 16th century church.
A new poll shows nearly 1/3 of Americans now say political violence may be necessary to get the country back on track. That's up by 11 points since April of last year.
Let's take you outside. Today's weather: morning frost in New England and rough surf along the East Coast. Summer-like heat in the Midwest with showers in the Northwest.
And finally, you're never too old for a new adventure.
Danny New met a 58-year-old college freshman.
This season at Lycoming College, the Warriors are being graced with what you might call a veteran presence.
To overstate the obvious, it was a now or never moment.
At 58 years old, defensive lineman Tom Cilio is trying to become the oldest college football player to see the field in more than a decade.
I just need a change. And what better way to make a change than to go play college football, right?
That's his head coach on the left there, Mike Clark. He's 54 years old.
Is this the most unique situation you've ever had with a player?
I think it's safe to say that, yeah.
Coach Clark acknowledges that his chances of seeing the field are not very large, but going into this, he knew Tom's strengths. For example, Tom has strength literally, as he can deadlift 600 pounds. But also, as you can hear in that video, Tom has emerged as a leader and mentor on the team, even earning a nickname from his much younger teammates.
They call me Sneaky T. Sneaky T, and honestly, I kind of like it.
Wrapped up from behind, but may have fell forward, ball's loose. Tom says he has stiff competition in the trenches, and it has not been as easy as he thought. In fact, in training camp, he had to sit out a few days with multiple bruised ribs and broken fingers.
I didn't walk into Staples and smack the easy button. I signed up for college football.
Well, whether or not Tom sees the field, he's already made history after just reaching an agreement with the pain relief cream Aspra Cream to become the oldest player to sign a name, image, and likeness deal. And in a freshman game recently, Tom got to play a few snaps. He's wearing number 40 there, and he says the crowd erupted when he entered the game ready for his chance.
It was kind of surreal, and I will never forget it.
And guys, Tom has also said that his 90-year-old mother has been coming to the games to cheer on the team. Can you imagine the level of noise she'll make if he gets to play in one of these games? Please let her play, please, please, please.
And that's your GMA First Look.
Have a great day.